And welcome back to Bards and Melodies. Tonight's contestants are...
You haven't started recording yet.
Oh, I have. Don't worry.
Oh, well. Is when the red circle is red,
Red. That's
that
just me
means it's recording.
Yeah, video. That is all for posterity right there.
Got it. Oh, that's great. So that's our intro.
That is our intro, yup. I can keep it. There is no edits. All the videos have been just, full videos, haven't edited nothing.
Yep.
Now ask Katie 20 questions.
It's like I like doing editing work. I'm like, now I know why.
It's just one shot of me just the whole time, and you're talking and just like, oh,
yeah. Just focus on you. That's all you gotta do. Just set it that way.
Hi, Candy Moraine.
I can't. No, that's you. Focus on you. We'll focus on you this whole
Focus
episode.
on me.
Welcome back, everyone. We're here for episode 5.
Numero cinco.
Talking about food and stories this week.
Heck yeah. Because best thing in the world is some good food with friends, I suppose. Yeah.
That's true. And sometimes food looks so good on TV or movies or animated. Oh,
it's stupid.
It's the
Even video
best.
games. Like, have you seen the Monster Hunter video games? They're like, they just focus on the food, like, because they give you boosts and everything.
Oh.
And then they'll just like do this whole like extravagant like scene just with the food and everything. And like the cats, the little pellicles, are the ones that cooking them.
Show me this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Come a long way from Pac-Man. All right.
I just had cherries. Like, that's usually what I heard.
Yeah. Got to start somewhere.
That's true.
Cherries.
It's
Was it just
true.
cherries? Was there anything else?
Bananas?
Bananas? Yeah.
I did play a Mac version about 10 years later called Happy Weed, where it's, this like stoned out of his mind face guy, like going around collecting the pellets, which are pills,
Oh my gosh.
And like instead of cherries and stuff, it's like syringes and whatnot.
Oh, so it's not weed, it's drug addict man.
Right. The game
Weed
was
is a
called
gateway
Happy
drug.
Weed, but yes, and instead of the ghosts, they were cops.
To him, they were still ghosts.
Yeah, once you got roided up, then you could kill them. Sorry guys, this is like video.
I thought that we were talking about food.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about drugs.
Yeah, well, they're food, right?
They can be. You're popping pills.
Yeah, no, actually, my.
Hold on a second. You know what?
What?
I just realized you guys got your drinks, but I don't have mine. So hold on a second. Oh, this thing?
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
What is that?
This Bards and Balladeers mug here that I got printed for you. And don't worry, I would never leave you guys out.
How kind.
Look at that.
Cool.
Ooh, look at that logo.
This will be good for episode 6.
Yeah, in a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely next week.
It'll answer the main question of that episode.
Whether or not your friends will give you gifts.
No.
Oh.
Oh,
do I know?
Where I'll do
I'm
it.
supposed to know.
She gets it. All right. It's like, I gotta.
I'm gonna have some trouble, guys.
Right now.
I don't know how to tell you.
Here.
How do you?
Thank you.
Yeah, do it. It's good for live TV. Yeah.
Sometimes you just gotta do stuff
on camera.
Beautiful. You guys are amazing.
Wow. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. See, we could have messed that up for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
We did it.
Why don't you take my?
Yeah, I'll take your mug.
All right.
That nice.
Do you want to smash it? Well,
Yeah,
now I need significantly more coffee.
No, it's
Yeah.
fine.
Oh, okay. Here. You got more coffee.
No, I'm good.
Okay. No.
Then the ratio will be off.
Yeah.
No.
Next
The
time.
ratio.
I'll have some next week.
Next week.
Yep.
Not in an hour, but next week.
No, it's next week.
Next week.
So for that little interlude. So pardon me.
That's
all right. Thank you.
Nice new mugs.
Yeah.
Are these orderable?
They will be and everything.
Okay.
They are. We'll set up a shop sometime soon, and then
watch our website, guys.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll have that wonderful T-shirt design idea that someone gave us.
Oh
just
yeah.
a few weeks ago. Which is authentically bad at hand high fives.
I think it was authentically bad high fivers.
That's fantastic.
Or just authentically bad at everything.
That too.
I don't want to wear that T-shirt. But yeah, speaking of like what's been going on, out in the world, I guess I'll
Perfect time.
field this one this week. It kind of relates to our topic, but we all work day jobs, and at my day job, people do the break room thing, and they bring in treats, and then by the end of the day, there's like one left, or then it becomes half of one, and maybe sometimes a quarter of one, whether it's a donut,
I'm on a diet,
whatever, one last thing, whatever it is. And I I heard something recently, not just this last week or anything, but I heard this recently from somebody that when said, "Oh, there's the one left," and someone said that one's for Prince.
For Prince?
Yeah.
Like the singer Prince?
It's like the singer Prince.
Oh
Because we live in Minnesota. And,
I love that.
And I'm like, okay, I got to start using that now.
Absolutely.
But I think you can do better than Prince, though. I feel like
we only have Prince and Kirby Puckett, according to Chris Rock.
And Lizzo.
Lizzo and Judy Garland.
And Judy Garland.
And who's the guitar player that?
Oh, Buddy Holly?
No. Oh, I did the wrong one.
It Buddy Holly?
We do have a lot, but like as far as icon level, not a lot.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
And like somehow became even more relevant after his death. So of course
that's true.
It is for Prince's return. That last one. It's not like we've been doing that for decades already or anything. But
is it also like pouring out a 40 for your homies?
Oh, I think this holds about 40 ounces right here. So
no, the last donut's like pouring out a 40.
Yeah,
the last piece of a donut. It's for Prince.
It's you leave that. That is for the place. That is in case Prince returns.
He's becoming a mythological deity.
He's like Dionysus.
That's fantastic. Yes. I'm going to bring that to work now. Yeah.
No, let's leave it.
Because somebody always does.
But yeah, it got me thinking about like just another purpose that food and stories can play. It's like that sort of ceremonial or symbolic
tribute.
Tribute. Pour out a 40, just like you said. Like that's a food thing.
Yeah, I love it.
So yeah, that was what I thought of. Have you guys heard anything like with that phenomenon of like leaving the last one or the last half? Like I'd never realized that people didn't want to ever take the first one or the last one. We say it's a Minnesota thing. It's probably more
it's a Minnesota thing.
Right.
No, because I genuinely like moving here. I'm from upstate New York. It's a little different.
Not northern New York.
But no. But apparently upstate, it's northern Minnesota. Excuse me.
Yep, not upstate.
But because I know nobody else wants to, I will just bite the bullet and do it for everybody. And I know there's some people that might think that is not selfish or maybe self-centered.
Sure.
But at this point, I don't care. I just want everybody to start eating. Yeah. And
authenticity.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
If you get that train started, why not?
Truthfully. Yeah, every train needs a conductor.
I just like you're saying, like, I'm doing it for the team. I'm taking one.
Truly.
Literally taking one for the team. You should just say that one is for the team and I'm taking it.
Yep.
But not the Prince part.
Not the Prince part.
Yeah. Leave the one for Prince.
Leave the one for Prince.
No, I seriously had, a friend of mine made me a birthday cake a couple of years ago, like the year I started this job. And it was a huge cake. And I was like, it's just me eating it. So I brought half of it into work. And someone said, you brought half a cake into work? I'm just like, what, people ate it.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to eat it,
The only one side was poison. The other one,
Right. Yeah. But by the end, I took a photo of it. Like, I don't remember why I took a photo. That it was not meant to be a before after
for your
sort of
Instagram.
Thing. No, I don't have Instagram.
For the gram.
The grams.
Taunt me. But no, I just took a photo of it. I'm sending it to somebody, I guess. And I'm glad I did that because at the end of the day, people had cut and cut and cut and cut and cut
to
not take the last piece.
Jesus.
So it wasn't even like a sliver. It was like part of a sliver. So I took a photo of that. It legitimately looked like a core sample of a cake. Like if you were to just like just drill down and you got this, and it went all like top to bottom. It wasn't like they'd cut it in half vertically.
Sure.
So it was totally a core sample of a cake.
That is fantastic.
Have you ever seen kind of in that same like ideas when people cut pizzas wrong? And they'll just like cut them at weird angles or like they cut out the circle in the inside.
Just to mess with everyone.
Yeah. And I'm just like, those people, those are the kind of people when you put in jail.
Urge to kill.
That is, I heard the phrase online. It is like an irresponsible use of your diplomatic freedom or something like that, or your something independence. And I don't like it. Cut pizzas correctly. Square cut is not.
It's okay. I mean, it does make you feel like a kid. I will say.
Okay, that is true. Yeah.
Well, I see. Here's my thing: is I don't like thin crust. So if you cut it that way, then it's probably thin crust, and like then it's just doubly wrong.
No, I do at least 50% agree.
You like thin crust.
I do love thin crust.
She's from New York.
You gotta be able to fold it.
Giant pieces of like drooping at the end.
And see if you have to fold it, then
the grease is an ingredient. Yeah, sure.
You've already lost.
More for me.
Detroit style.
Do you like?
All the way.
Oh,
What's
okay.
Detroit style again?
It's sort of like Rocky Rococo's. It's kind of like thicker crust, but like tends to be like squarish.
Brixworth.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
I'm fine with that kind of cutting for squares. But again, context matters for stories.
It does.
It does.
Yeah,
it does.
Well, let me get rid of our Chicago fans real quick. Chicago pizza is not a real pizza. That's a soup. That is a soup, and that's a bread bowl.
Mm-hmm.
It's an Italian shepherd's pie.
Yes. I was just thinking that.
That's
my gosh!
Yeah.
Wow.
I'll still eat it. Don't get me wrong.
Camaraderie in having an enemy.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Chicago's great.
Chicago, yeah.
There's a lot of great food there.
Whatever you guys do.
Just hot dogs. Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, like what getting back into the indoor topic, I guess, like food and stories. So we've already, even just with this example, talked about a lot of roles that food plays in just the stories that we tell on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
But like, do you guys have any examples of like how you use it in stories, or how you like ways you've thought of it or seen it used in stories that just stuck out to you?
For me, I guess I'll just start with, I was thinking about this and how I think it's an element of world building and also another way of showing character. And sometimes a way that a reader or viewer or whoever might relate with a character. And being that world building is one of those items that is not particularly my first thought, that I actually don't have a lot of eating like in my stories. And so this podcast episode has made me think about like, oh shoot, like that's another method or character display. Yeah. Like that you can add into your story that doesn't necessarily take away from the plot. It can add to it as long as it's done well, or done strategically, let's say. So I have none for like my specific stories, but I can think of like in other examples, like there's Star Trek fans will have to help me out here. And I'm so sorry. I'm using a reboot example. So don't.
How dare you?
I just love Chris Pine. I love Chris Pine. Yeah.
If you don't like Chris Pine,
I've seen the first two with him.
Okay. So this is from the first one, the first reboot, where he's doing the Kobayashi Maru.
I was just eating it.
And he's like messing up the system, right? He's bugged it. He knows that he's going to win when he's not supposed to. It's supposed to be the unwinnable scenario, right?
Right.
And he's being this jerk. He's eating an apple so arrogantly, and he's doing it. And for me, it's just such a fantastic like character display, like I wish I had a better word for it. Mannerism to show that he is so confident. He's so sure. And he's also very handsome while he does it too. And it's so it's very Kirk.
Yeah, like it's just a character prop. Totally.
Yes. So that's my example.
Yeah. I know Brad Pitt is infamous for always eating during scenes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they just kind of write it around him now.
Yeah.
But I'm just remembering in Moneyball, he like stuffs a whole Twinkie into his mouth. It's ridiculous.
That's a cliche, right? The apple, eating the apple to show like how confident you are, how like, unfazed by where you are, because they do it in 300 as well.
Okay.
Right.
Oh,
so
right.
after that first battle with the Persians, Leonidas is in there eating his apple while there's just dead bodies everywhere.
That's interesting to me. Like I've only seen that movie once. It's actually on my worst 10 movies list. I actually don't know what the other 9 are. I just know
that one's on it.
I know that one's on that list. I hated that movie, but like you're not wrong. Like I'm thinking of the counter example of when people use a beverage or food or something to stifle an emotion, like one of my favorite scenes, something I can relate to in Lost. There's a scene where a guy's like trying not to cry, and he's like trying to go back to sipping his coffee, and he just can't. He's just like tearing up and everything, and it's sort of like he's almost trying to pretend like he'll go back to doing the normal thing, like in 300s. Like, well, that battle's over. I'm going to eat this food now because I'm unbothered.
Right.
And it's almost like he's trying to do that and can't get himself to do it.
Right.
He's just devastated.
And with food too, a lot. And it's food has such a connection to mortality and just like living life and everything. So when there's abundance of food, we're all thriving and everything, and it's such a wonderful representation. Like you see, like when kings and queens are also eating extravagant foods, and there's like buffets or whatever, And the opposite's like, please, sir, I'd like some more. It's always like, it's that tie between how well you're doing, whether you're living or not. And one of the examples that I thought about when I was thinking about this is The Revenant does this very well. And there's that scene after, spoilers, that Leonardo DiCaprio gets attacked and mauled by the bear. And he survives it. And then he's going out and he's just crawling. And then he finds like a carcass. I think it was a buffalo or something. And he's going through the like spinal cord and picking out anything he can fit, like stuff that the scavengers haven't gotten,
right?
Just to survive. Like they're getting, like no one would have normally taken that food. It's just things that he needs to survive. And he'll take any nutrients at that point. Yeah. And it's just this wonderful show between life and death.
I feel like, I think, writing pirate stories, food is a staple of pirate stories because there's always the issue of, scurvy and survival and deprivation. And like, I know there's a movie, old Jürgen Prochnow movie called Das Boot.
Oh, sure.
It's like the German
U-boat, right?
Yeah. And I think before they resupply, they're so bare bones on their supplies that they're gathering up mildew because it's like it's a green or whatever, like they're going to eat it.
Wouldn't that make them sick though?
I mean,
some of them.
It might have just enough nutrition. I don't remember. So just the extremes like that, or like even hardtack. If you don't know, what that is, it's just some hard baked bread. It's in my stories.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Until I wrote that one down.
Don't you remember everything I wrote?
Every little thing.
All the food bits.
Paragraph 6, episode.
Yeah, I mean, there's jokes in there about, it's like really hard baked bread. It's basically
Lemus bread.
No, I mean it's Gimli's cram is a little closer. Yeah, but it's like Gimli. Flour, water, and optional salt. Those are the ingredients, which are ironically the same ingredients of Play-Doh and just in different proportions.
Honestly, yeah. I knew that one.
I used to make Play-Doh when we were kids. But
glue.
You bake it and it's really hard baked. And like a lot of the time they would leave it for 6 months so that it would soften a little bit.
6 months just like out.
It kind of sounds like a saltine.
Like, yeah, it's
saltine probably has more salt.
It's also the origin of cereal.
Whoa. Fortified.
Like there's a debate on whether the term square meal comes from the fact that it's in squares or the fact that like in the Navy at one point meals were served on these square wooden trays. It's like it's either one or the other, but the fact that it's that's part of the reason. Like it's a whole cultural phrase now that comes from sailing. Whichever of those two things is the origin, it comes from eating at sea. Just square meals. How many square meals a day do you eat? It's like a lot of the time that's what they're eating.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I mean, now it's become
one thing Katie learned today.
Oh, sure. Mm-hmm. It's now it's just knowing that you had like your food groups or whatever, you had enough food to sustain you, I guess, until the next meal or to the next day or,
I do want to circle back to 300 though, because with the Apple scene, and I know, I actually did, are you sure that it's Gerard Butler that plays Leonidas? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Yeah. So after he's eating the apple and the guy that's running to him to be the messenger, he gives him the rest of the apple, by the way. And I just think that also that's a really important trait. Yeah. Show of power, show of respect that this guy just ran however long of a distance to get him this information that spoilers honestly won't help them at all at the end of the movie. I wish I could remember more of the plot. Somebody else correct me.
The Persians won.
Yeah. But did they? Because everybody else rallied up because of those deaths.
And the legacy of the story. Yeah.
I mean, eventually, like it's all Turks now, so I guess we won.
Is this close to home to you? I never realized
that's why you hate it.
Oh my gosh,
you hate the Spartans because they're Greek.
Oh man,
outed me.
Note to self: don't bring up 300.
I mostly just hated that every action shot, and I mean every action shot was.
It's very Zack Snyder.
Yeah,
very Zack Snyder.
I'm not reading a comic book. I'm watching a movie. Don't do this to me.
Sure.
How do you feel about
Watchmen?
Yeah, this is off topic, but just out of curiosity.
Not a big fan. It was better than 300. I would not put it on my worst 10 movies list.
Okay, cool.
It's number 11.
But it's,
glad we've edited that.
Yeah. Let's not bring that up again too.
No, for it to be number 11, I'd have to know what the other 9 were.
Sure.
True.
But But yeah,
while we're talking about sausages,
yeah, I have something about that in my notes too. But you were saying like food can be used like as a proclamation of status, opulence. You know, like there's if you ever read or saw like the miniseries Ivanhoe, there's a scene where Prince John is hosting this gathering, people tournament and everything. And one of the Saxon lords is eating like there's this bowl of, you know, it looks like some kind of bird or whatever. He's eating a bunch of them. And they're like, you know, Prince John's just looking at him like, you know, oh, what are you doing? And it just, someone kind of pokes fun at him a little bit. And then Prince John is just like, you know, it only takes, you know, 3 days for my falconers to catch so many sparrows.
Sure.
And the guy's like, sparrows. So it's like a sign of decadence that only the rich can afford falconers to send falcons out to catch sparrows for you to eat.
Right.
And that's just like an ultimate flex.
Yeah.
You know? Like it's a great way to like show status using food.
Right. Absolutely. Tell me that you're rich without saying that you're rich.
Exactly.
Mostly by my car, but you know.
Sure. Yeah.
That's another episode.
Cars. Yeah.
The car chase.
Yeah. Or it's about family.
I just want a whole episode about Speed Racer.
Yeah, I mean, I'll do that any day.
Diving into
I'll
it.
have to see it first.
Yeah.
Oh man, you haven't seen. Oh yeah, because you didn't come to my party. That's right.
Yeah.
We should do a reaction video. So we should do a reaction video.
That's the only movie I will ever do a reaction video is Speed Racer.
Yeah. He's like, oh, yeah, you were invited. Some of the invites, though, are like, hey, we're doing this thing today. You want to come?
Oh. Yeah. Do you want to drop everything that you're doing so that you can come spend time with us?
If I'd known a month ago, maybe I'd be there.
I would have put that in my schedule if I cared enough.
We're all so busy.
Yeah, I know.
Honestly,
It crushes me every time I can't make it to one of your things.
No. We know. It's just like, that's why we enjoy doing this so much, because it's like we will set time to do this.
More.
We should hang out more. TM. I'm going to put that and then cross it off, and then it's going to say Bards and Balladeers. The only thing that was left. Sorry.
The only thing. No, I'm sorry. I was reading one of our notes, food to induce terror. So I have to mention it. And this is bringing back another topic that kind of splits the room between us is Lord of the Rings. And when Denethor eats the tomato, that might have clipped a little bit. The devil's apple.
Yeah.
No, but it's
madness.
Yes. And like his complete disregard for
like
normalcy. I don't want to say that.
And what's the term?
Manners.
Etiquette.
Yeah.
Etiquette.
Yeah. And it's just so, I don't even want to say sinister. Like that's not the right word for it, but it's unsettling.
Disturbing.
Yeah. And I think that is such a beautiful example for that character. And I actually don't know if it's talked about in the appendices. Let us know in the comments. But
it's not in the books at all.
I figured it's completely a visual thing.
I didn't know if you meant the
sorry. No. In the extended editions, there's the
extra footage.
And then behind the scenes, who knows? But like, what a great, like whether or not it's from the director or the actor, I'm assuming the actor just acting in character.
He just grabbed an apple from the cart.
No, it's a tomato.
Tomato from the cart.
Cherry tomato.
It's like, and then like, nope, we're doing this. Like he just pretending he thought it was an apple, and he's like,
gosh, no, but it's it grosses me out, and it's
you
one of
like spaghetti though.
I do, but it's the way he eats it. Yeah, I'll have to show you.
It's like showing people doing ordinary things in non-ordinary ways or non-ordinary situations. Like,
yes. Yeah.
You know, like a lot of people be like, I can't eat right now. I'm so stressed. You know, and he's just gorging on vegetables and whatnot.
Right.
And there's some chicken in there too. And so just maybe that's not an example of inducing terror with food, which I think doesn't like the Hannibal movies also do too.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I've actually never seen them, so I shouldn't bring it up as an example.
Cannibalism will do it.
Oh yeah, that's
Cannibal the musical. If you ever seen that?
I still haven't.
South Park guys.
Yeah.
I mean, to that effect too, is just like an old example of this was like Soylent Green. You know, because the whole idea was they're eating people.
Spoilers.
It's people.
Sorry.
But it's just like those realizations, like, you know, everything was fine until you knew what you were eating. Right. Like this is to my sister.
Like working at McDonald's.
Well, yeah, it's mostly soy anyways. No, so I was in Mexico one time, and because you can't be more stereotypical Mexican without having a taco stand. So my uncle had a taco stand, and they would use everything of the cow, like everything, the tongue, the eyes, the brain And my sister gave me a brain taco and everything. And she's like, here, take this taco. So I'm eating this taco and it's really good and everything. It feels kind of like, you can tell it's a little different, but it's nothing like would gross you out.
Right.
And I ate it and she's like, you just ate brains. I was like, oh, okay. And then I just eat the rest of it. Like she was
like,
trying to
it matters. It's
like,
delicious.
Yeah, right. Joke's on you, sister.
Yeah, that stuff doesn't tend to work on me. I can usually win at gross out.
Sure.
Yeah. But
which we'll never do on here.
Also, generally, I don't know. I generally shy away from eating brains, though, since I realized that that's how hoof and mouth disease spread.
Yes.
Was cows eating other cows' brains as part of the feed.
Yeah.
Like who feeds that?
It's because, they don't know what to do with it, right?
When in
right.
Mexico, you got to eat the taco.
Yeah. When in France, you said?
No, I said when in Mexico.
Oh, when in Mexico.
So did you blow that taco stand?
Yeah, after I was done eating, yeah.
Anyway.
So yeah, it is interesting to like the ideas of like how, again, like that's why I always joke, like I never mess with my food. Like I will never like eat something or like mess with somebody else's food or like people will play pranks and like I will never put toothpaste in the middle of an Oreo or something like that. Like,
no.
It's just those things where it's just like, you can't do that because it's such a life-giving, such a sustaining thing that you just don't mess with that.
See,
with people.
You're reminding me of this is an April Fool's joke I always wanted to do, but I would never do.
Sure. What is it?
Bake a cake, completely legitimate, like chocolate cake, whatever, and frost it with toothpaste and leave it in the break room.
Oh no!
Obviously, you don't want to use
mint
Aqua
chocolate
Fresh or anything.
Yeah, nothing minty.
Just a white. It can be minty, but not like swirled. It has to look like frosting.
The red and blue one.
Yeah, what was it, Colgate or whatever? It's patriotic. It's for 4th of July.
It's true,
It's like little fireworks.
Oh my God.
Yeah, except it's April 1st or whatever reason.
Yeah.
That's the April Fool's. It's not the 4th of July.
You know what's really decadent? Sorry, real quick. Is the idea that you can eat like gold and everything. Like they used to have like Goldschlager that they say that's like gold leaf or whatever is in there or whatever. And somebody told me once that, I don't know if this is true, that like the gold leaf will like actually like make micro cuts in your like esophagus so you can absorb the alcohol quicker or something like that. So like, I'm like, all right. But it's
fiberglass is a cheaper substitute for that.
Right. You probably die for that though. Like
they'd use that in chewing tobacco.
Really?
To get that into your gums like quicker.
Oh my God. Oh
yeah. Tobacco industry's this kind of thing.
No, they're never chewing tobacco.
Yeah, but pot was evil.
Yeah. Well, no, it's all like control.
We can edit that out, right?
Oh, we just lost our sponsor.
Yeah.
Phillips Morris is not going to be.
Yeah. Sponsored by Happy Weed.
Oh, shoot.
No, like I have thought about like food for like torture as well.
Ooh.
So you guys seen Game of Thrones?
Yeah, to a degree. I've seen all of season 1 and like some of season 2.
I've seen the first episode and stopped.
Well, if you know, like Theon Greyjoy, spoilers. Theon Greyjoy, is captured and castrated. And the next scene after that, his captor is eating this like big sausage, like in its really obvious suggestive way. And just mocking.
That's evil. Yeah.
It's really well done and horrific.
Disgusting.
Yeah. No, that is so. It's not mise en scène, but it's like a play. Yeah.
Matching to like from one place to other to because you know what? Because do you know did we talk about mise en scène?
No.
It's a term when it's match on scene and it's in film whenever you have like sound matching or leading into another scene or like that, for example, where like you had the dick and then that led to the sausage, and it's just those things are totally unrelated scenes, but they are now matched because of something in both of them.
Mm.
Oh yeah. It's like a transition kind of thing.
Yeah.
In this sense, it was related, but it wasn't a transition.
Oh shoot. Okay.
It was like it wasn't even in the next scene. It's just like later on, like he's the guy who did it is like deliberately eating this in front of him, the captive.
Sure.
Just to like rub it in.
Gotcha.
Thing, but I know what you're talking
about. Yeah. I'm trying to think of a good example right now.
Harry Potter did that. They show like one of the Thestrals eting a sausage and then they switch right to Ron eating a sausage.
Sure. But man, what an excellent like character. Like I keep losing the word for it, but just like an example of how sinister and evil like this character is. Maybe not evil, but
He's evil.
Okay. Because just a way of telling me that you're evil without, sorry, I think I said that backwards. Like, show me that you're evil without telling me. Yeah. And I love that. It's also horrible for that character, but it's fictional.
Well, and there's the Pirates of the Caribbean example too, where like, all Captain Barbossa wants to do is to eat this apple. He can't taste anymore. Yeah. And at one point, he captures Johnny Depp's character, and Johnny Depp's like starts eating an apple in front of him, clearly knowing this full well.
Sure.
Just to torture him.
Yeah.
To
really twist the knife in a way.
Like if I can't do anything to you, I can do this to you. Yeah. Like that psychological game. Yeah.
He has a few bites of it and he's like, you want
I honestly never put that together. I love that.
Yeah.
Man.
Back to the sausage thing. I'm just, and I mean this legitimate. That's
the next t-shirt. Back to the sausage.
What do you think is this fascination with relating like things to food and everything? Like there's always this like, is it because they are both appealing in some way, so that like the peach and the eggplant, and bananas, anything that's like phallic, of course, is really suggestive. Like, I'm just curious if that's like, is there a more, just because we can find so much pleasure through food,
right?
That you associate that with,
like the desire to consume.
What was that?
The desire to consume in some aspect.
Gluttony.
Sorry,
the desire to feel. Like the classical definition of the sensualist is about sensory gratification. They're all about sensory gratification, and two of those things are sex and food.
Sure.
And so I think a lot of the time people put those together.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Even just linguistically, like
so you don't have to be obvious about it,
whatever. Like just the terminology.
Yeah,
and plus, like sometimes the. You know what? Honestly, I'm gonna.
Now I want to know you more.
This Chekhov's gun. You pulled that trigger.
I did. Well, like the idea of like, let's use a peach for example. Yeah. Like there's some very, again, suggestive ways that can be used to describe eating a peach. Like a very good, juicy peach, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
You know what? There's also the avenue of like, if you look at humanity, like humans in a completely dispassionate way, we're all food,
That's true.
We're made of meat.
Sacks of meat.
And like, many things look like each other, like sausage looks like whatever. Like, okay, well, it's also made of meat. So
technically a spongy meat. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But like, I don't know. It's like there's so much commonality because like that's just the real world, like we're food for sharks, whatever.
Right. Yeah. We can be, but then they'll taste. I was like, oh, he's way too gristly. I'm gonna put him back.
Yeah. Catch and release.
Catch and release.
Fine thing to do.
I think too with the whole using food to describe like sexual things or whatever. I think it's also just comedy in general. Like it's the idea is like, how funny can I describe something without actually saying it? And food is always, I guess. I mean, you've seen the guys like deep throat in a banana or something, and then
no, I've never seen that.
You haven't seen
I've done that.
I don't have time to chew.
I'm missing out, I guess.
Yeah. So that's the Brad Pitt school of on-screen eating or whatever. Just like peel it and swallow it whole. No, I think.
I know we were talking about The Martian 2 3 weeks ago.
Forever
last month.
But that's another wonderful show of just like how important food is, right? Because
survival stuff,
right? Again, I guess that's kind of like The Revenant too, where it's just like and when you are the caretaker of that food, of that your own survival, what do you do? Actually, you ever see Into the Wild?
I have not.
Okay.
Was Emil Hirsch or is it the?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I actually haven't either. I really want to.
God, again, sorry guys, because this is just a spoiler show. Just assume that I'm going to spoil everything.
We won't spoil all of our own works. But we'll probably spoil
you have to read those. But it's at the end of the movie, he's living in the wilds of Alaska, and he takes this like survival guide, and he's learning about all these things he can eat. And he's like, he's very low on food, and he eats the wrong berry. Like because he was such in desperation, he eats the wrong berry and he dies because of it and everything. Yeah, I know. It's such a tragic thing, but his journey to just be free and to learn how to live for himself is fantastic.
Tragic.
Like, but it's like that one mistake of, the thing that is supposed to be life-giving, just a change of like getting the wrong berry. And I also heard the other day about how we must be carnivores because like you can eat any meat and like never die from it. But you could like, there's like only like 300 things like that are plants that we can eat and not die. Like, so
yeah, like we just don't have the right digestive system to handle some of those things.
Yeah.
Right. I also think that something about that too is the fact that I assume he's alone out in the wild.
Yes.
And the fact that a lot of these lessons of what foods you can and cannot eat, typically I assume are passed down from groups of learning from each other, learning from some kind of a village, metaphorical village is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. And him being alone, he doesn't have anybody to bounce these ideas off of or anybody to stop him from potentially making a life-threatening mistake. And I think that's also another big thing with food too, is that we're usually like Firefly is another example to not pivot too much, but the part of seeing who they are as characters and who they are as a crew is whenever they get together to eat food. And you've pointed that out to me. I didn't really notice it while watching the show because it was just so natural and organic, but it's such a cool thing to see. And maybe we mentioned in a couple other episodes too, but,
the Last Supper almost kind of like thing too, because it's like going to battle. Everybody has that last communal supper and, just to sustain, to have the energy to fight in battle, but also to like see these people and know who you're going to fight or into battle with. And, one of the weirdest examples of this is Don't Look Up. Do you ever see that with?
It's high on my list to see, like, cause I really respect the guy who wrote it, David Sirota.
Oh, okay.
Like,
so I won't spoil it just for your sake. But there's like a Last Supper kind of scene in there because you know what it's about, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Asteroids coming. So
didn't he also do? What did we just watch? The Big Short.
He might have. I don't remember if he wrote
great
that
movie.
or not.
Yeah,
saw that recently. Yeah.
He's a political commentator and he helped run the Bernie Sanders campaign.
So, whoa.
Yeah.
Cool.
2016.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay.
He's not good at his job. No, I'm just kidding.
So a lot of respect. A lot of respect.
Yeah.
One other thing I want to mention too is not to get too morbid or I guess additionally political is the idea of inmates getting last meals before being executed.
Yeah.
Just kind of going on off that idea, like I don't know the ins and outs of why that's a thing, but it's very fascinating to me that they get to choose and like I think there's a book somewhere that has like pictures of last meals. Anywho, bad example because I don't have much to say about it. But
no, it's I hadn't really thought about the last meal phenomenon. I mean, I have notes on like food as ceremony or just something.
Sure, yeah.
Because there's a ceremonial aspect to that.
Yeah,
and really anything you repeat often enough becomes a tradition in there, and then can be a ceremony like. The wedding cake and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. We had donuts.
Yeah.
And Oreos.
And Oreos, sorry.
No toothpaste, though.
Well, like, now I know how to prank you guys.
Now you know how to never get invited back.
I swear to God, don't touch my Oreos.
No, that's, Oreo is crazy enough they might put out toothpaste.
Yeah. So you don't have to brush, you just eat the tooth like this is Oreo.
Okay. I'm for that.
Yeah, you're not supposed to swallow the toothpaste.
Yeah.
But no, like I like the survival aspect of food, and I think it's very easy to go from that to the traditional and ritualistic and ceremonial aspect because, I mean, let's face it, eating is something we do 3 times a day. It becomes a habit.
Yeah.
So we develop habits around it.
Yeah.
We develop ceremonies around it.
Right.
And how even in Firefly, they have their own apple story, with the grenades.
Oh. Right. Yep. Why you always peel or cut into your apples. Yeah.
Right. And then there's that war story.
Yep. It's such good.
Firefly.
But, but like there's there's other stuff like, in the survival vein and also combining that with status. Like there's a story I read once about how some German sea captain solved the issue of scurvy for basically for his ship. And I think also for Germany, like it just caught on.
Okay.
They had sauerkraut and there's apparently enough vitamin C in sauerkraut.
Really?
But the sailors they hated it. They didn't want to eat it.
So that's why Germans love sauerkraut.
So, but I think that plays a part. But so the captain decided he ordered the officers not only to eat it, but to act like it was a delicacy. And then the crew wanted, they fought for the right to eat it.
Yeah.
It's like, you're being allowed this delicacy.
Right.
This is a privilege.
I feel like I read this story once.
And then like none of them got scurvy.
Right.
I mean, that
nobody died.
It's kind of like that same thing where common foods became luxury foods because like lobsters, no one ate lobsters.
Coffee.
That's really
coffee. Like coffee
I
was
believe
the first coffee shop was in Turkey in like
fact check
1600s. I think it might have been the 1400s. One of the I think it was the 1600s, early 1600s.
Where did they get their beans from?
Just
kidding.
Yeah,
Don't answer that.
Plants. Arabica beans.
Oh, sure, that sounds right. Yeah,
but yeah, no, like it's.
I was just being a little shit by asking that.
No, please do.
Things we take for granted, like sugar and coffee,
Sure.
all the, like
Cinnamon.
cocoa. Yeah, cinnamon. Cinnamon's tree bark. You know, like people don't realize that. Sorry for anyone who hates that notion, but
Spoilers.
Yeah, it's tasty as heck.
Yeah.
But a lot of those things are common goods now, but they were luxuries. And I think a lot of things that probably were common might be considered luxuries now. I'm struggling to think of like particular examples, but like some things have gotten less and less common.
The plague.
Sure. Did you say the plague?
I did.
No one finds a good rat.
No. God, those fleas they just don't carry diseases like they used to. You know, and to kind of the other side of that, like, you know, the whole delicacy and the whole abundance of food, when we choose not to eat, or when we like Gandhi went on a hunger strike, you know, or when it's just like we are doing something because we're revolting or doing something in the reverse just to prove a point. Because especially like if you're some kind of like political captive or whatever, and like, well, you need me still, so I'm just gonna starve myself. Like, you know, it's kind of like you use that food as your power, the not eating the food as a power, right? Yeah.
And even in a way similar to that, like as an act of humbling ourselves by
not overeating.
Fasting to a degree, like in a religious sense. I can't speak too much for it, so forgive me. But just knowing that the need to eat, the need to sustain our bodies, and to put that on pause for some kind of worship or admiring of something to a degree. Let's try to be as general as possible. And I think that is super neat and super cool because what a discipline, what a fantastic, putting yourself into a higher level of thought by putting that need aside for a temporary amount of time, of course.
Sure.
But
in a lot of belief systems, there's like the corporeal world, the world of people and animals and whatever, you know, it's lower, it's basic. And then there's the incorporeal world, like the ethereal world with spiritual things. And I think the notion of fasting is more, it's I think dual purpose, but like purifying yourself of like the needs of this world in order to make it easier to get in touch with the higher plane.
Oh, sure.
So there's that, but also like here's an aspect they refer to in a lot of Sherlock Holmes stories. He'll indicate sometimes when he's really concentrating on something, trying to figure something out, he won't eat. He's like, I don't have nerve force for digestion right now. I don't have the attention. Like it takes physical attention. Even like not mentally, but it can affect your mental state. And some people can't think when they're hungry. Other people can't think when they're eating.
Sure, because that's all they're doing. All their focus is just on that, right?
Right. It's sort of like your body automates certain things. Like imagine if you had to concentrate to get your like food through your digestive system.
Oh, like to actually like force the muscles to push everything down. Yeah.
But there is some level of that attention being given by your body. So if you free up those resources, the idea is that you can use them for other things.
That's crazy. That's actually really,
I like that.
You know, the way we actually even take in drugs and stuff like that too, because I won't say they're food, but they're kind of on that like cusp of like, you know, a natural part of the world, plants, stuff like that, that were derived or derivative of plants, and we use them for medicinal purposes and everything. So there's a lot of healing properties, not just in food, but also in the plants that provide food, or even in the farther extent, like like mushrooms that are psychedelics, you know, there's, and then people have them and they use them for ritualistic stuff. So it's, again, is it food? Sure. But there's other things that happen to you as it releases whatever chemicals into your body. And
even tea.
Yeah, I put that in my first book too, because at one point, Jan, the surgeon, is giving people coca leaves. And, you know, Koya is like, you know about coca leaves, you know, and it's like, that we would give these to soldiers to help them like stay awake, function longer, or cope with altitude, or you know, things like that. And you know, like things like that can become a ritual too, like peyote, whatever.
Right.
Like, again, the mushrooms. Like, because you know, you can make rituals out of any of these things, especially if they have side effects. Then okay, well, you've noticed that. You know, just an aside about all of this, because we were talking earlier about like how you find which things are safe to eat and everything.
Sure.
Like, how many of you, like, have you guys ever heard someone say, like, who's the first person who thought to eat that?
Right.
An egg.
You know, and my response is always
what
like,
comes out of that chicken.
Someone who is starving and watching animals.
Oh, sure.
That's
watch
true.
what they do.
You know, like, you know, birds, they eat this one, they eat that berry and not that berry. Like, maybe this is safe for me to eat. And I'm starving. So, you're more willing to take risks when, you know, if you don't, you're going to die.
Right.
There's a whole survival thing too about how to figure out what is edible or not. Like, eat a piece of this, just wait 8 hours. And like, there's a way to find out like what is actually edible or not. If you're in the wild and you're trying not to die, you know?
Yeah. And if you have the time it would take to like figure that out.
Sure.
People don't always have it, but if you do, like you can employ a method.
Yeah.
It's like the early form of scientific method.
Sure. I mean, I feel like just living is a scientific method, like everything that you just test, you know, to make sure that like, oh, wow, this tree is going to hold my weight so I can use this or whatever, you know, it's all.
No, this time the tree did not hold my weight.
Sometimes it's a matter of, you know, like, is it scientific to repeateally make the same mistake?
Right.
You know?
Right.
Just remembering Blackadder, you know, like, you know, does this plan that it's like World War I era Blackadder, does this plan involve like emerging from the trenches and walking very slowly towards the enemy? He's like, how could you know that? That's classified information. It's the same plan we used last time and the 17 times before that.
On the opposite side of like food is water too. So I'm actually kind of curious as I'm thinking about this, like how important does water play like in anything, like in any story? Like you've heard like, you know, Lost in the Desert, you need water, you know.
In Dune, it's very important.
Dune is very important. They have suits just made to recycle all that sweat and everything. It's kind of, which is really cool.
Very
One
precious.
of the coolest sci-fi inventions ever in
Not the ornithopter.
The ornithopter.
Ornithopter, yeah.
Which sounds like you've got a list.
Ornithopter?
He does,
Hey.
Yeah.
I was born this way. Don't judge me. Or even in the opposite, which the timeless classic Waterworld.
Oh, yeah. Where there's no land yet. Everyone's dirty.
It's from all the rust on the ships. Okay, come on.
Yeah.
That's oxidation damage.
Yeah. But like water is such even more so than food, you know, that it plays we're mostly water, bags of mostly water. 95%.
Ugly bags of mostly
water. Yeah.
That's the next t-shirt.
that one's
I'm
taken.
sure. Yeah, I'm sure.
Shoot. That's darn.
No, like that's a great point too. And then we've always had to figure out like, you know, what water is, say how to filter water, or just live with the bugs you get from river water or whatever.
Well, we used to be our bodies used to be a lot more okay with being dirty, though. That dirty water, dirty food, like stuff we could handle more.
You know what's funny though is we say that, but life expectancy was way low back then.
That's true.
So it's like, how do we know? You know, like, like how do we know like what people in their mid 40s, like how they dealt with these things? Like they didn't reach their mid 40s,
right?
You know? They just died from a little paper cut, not a paper cut, but you know.
Like, well, my cat scratched me.
Well,
that could kill you.
Yeah,
and you get like illnesses that were even like status based because the foods they eat were status based, like gout.
Sure. Yep.
Mostly rich people got gout because they were the only ones eating like the organ meats or the richer fatty.
Or beer.
Yeah.
I don't know if beer was.
I don't know that that's a gout thing, but
it is a gout thing.
Okay.
Yeah, because I have this. I worked with this one guy. He was just like, oh, I got gout. And I was like, no, I can't drink beer. And was like, oh, poor you. Like,
how'd you get gout?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm sure it wasn't just the beer, but it doesn't help. And you got like a big old list of food you can't eat or whatever.
Because of the caloric intake or?
It's, I forgot what he said. It's uric acid building up between your joints.
Whoa.
Yeah, I don't know why I remember that.
I did not know that.
I don't know how the uric acid builds up, but it's probably from certain foods.
Slowly, I hope.
Yeah, just this explosion. Yeah. But it's just, it makes, like, maybe this might not be true, but it makes like little spikes, like uric acid crystals or something between your joints. So it's very painful.
Yeah, people would get gout in like a foot. It's usually in an extremity.
But my God.
It'd be like a sharp pain.
Like
if you have to put pressure on it, it's like,
Mm-hmm. So, I believe that.
Yeah. So food can also kill us. Well, we already talked about that a little bit, but too much of a good thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where we're at for time.
We got like 10 minutes at least.
Talk a little more.
Yeah, we can talk a little more. I mean, it all had to be an hour, but
no, they all have to be
at least an hour.
At least an hour.
Oh. Yeah, that's mandated by the government.
Pretty much characters. I mean, you have a shard root in yours.
Oh.
Which is, I mean, not necessarily a food, but it's a drink. Sort of a drink. Yeah. Not specifically alcohol. It amplifies senses. Yeah.
You've read it. Yeah.
I have. Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely like just, and to be honest, I'm not sure why. No, I do know why. I put it in there because, again, Final Fantasy, like elixir was always the most powerful. It filled up your magic and your hit points completely.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I wanted something like similar to that, but not so much like, because when I was thinking about my stories, I was also thinking about how it would work as a video game. And I do that a lot, So like, this would be a really cool part in a video game to play or something like that.
Right.
But like having that elixir would be like, oh yeah, you use this to get back your mana or whatever. You use some shard root, and maybe there's better shard roots, or people who make it better can, it's just more potent and whatever. It's a +1. But it's just, it's those kind of things are just important, because how many things that have we seen in stories that are just simply there to build the world, to make it just more expansive, to just have some fun little thing like butterbeer. Butterbeer is another example where it's just like, now you can go to Universal and you can have butterbeer, and it's pretty good actually. I like it. Yeah.
Product placement.
Sponsor us, please. Yeah. So it is cool just to think. And Davache in the second book.
Davache. Oh shoot.
Yeah, that's okay. It's ceviche.
Oh yes.
And because we love ceviche.
What kind?
It's a Peruvian ceviche with the tiger's milk.
Leche de tigre.
Leche de tigre. But yeah, it's just one of those things that just kind of, when you have your favorite things, you kind of just want to put them into the world, but you give them a little flair, you give them a little change, right?
I also think too, like in fantasy, also the fact that you had something kind of like an elixir pulling from Final Fantasy, like inspirations, but the idea of, again, food healing, food restoring, like that's, I think, such a carnal like connection with food. And so I think it's funny that you were like, I don't even know why, but you kind of did know why.
It's just like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
But food always connects you to, nature.
Because
it's a natural process,
Right.
That's true.
I think, like what you were saying about world building, like using it for world building.
Yeah.
That's also just in terms of what resources are available.
Oh, sure.
That's true.
Sometimes, you find this especially too. I did a panel on like islands. And like, different regions have different resources and everything. Like, okay, what can you do with these resources?
Sure. Yeah.
But in like fantasy and things like that, where it's like non-earth stuff, like, okay, well, what are the different flora and fauna? What are the different resources?
Yeah.
What are the things that different societies would trade with each other?
Yeah.
It's not always just about, what do we want to eat, but it's like, okay, well, this is now a trade good. And that connects us to this other culture. And there's that maxim of like, trade is good because you're much less likely to try to kill people you trade with.
Sure.
Right. Because you need the continual trade, right?
So it helps, create sort of peaceful relations with your neighbors.
Entangling alliances.
Exactly. It's like, we won't kill you because we need you.
Right.
So keep doing what you're doing, and we'll actually protect you, maybe. And
so when you isolate from trade, you're much more likely to feel fine with being violent
to get it.
Or just being violent for other reasons.
Sure. Because your mother never loved you when you were a child.
Yeah. No. But Yeah, I think you find a lot of the time nations that like unleash hellish amounts of war. Sometimes historically are like that's preceded by a period of isolationism.
Oh, sure.
Because it makes it easier to dehumanize people you don't have to deal with.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Avatar being an example.
Oh,
the
sure.
unobtainium. They. I mean, I guess they did have a connection with the Na'vi, the humans.
Yeah, but the only reason they did is because they were trying to convince them just to move.
Yeah.
They weren't even. I should wear my Avatar shirt today.
Yeah.
I'll wear it next week.
In a couple weeks.
But there's with food too. It's always interesting to see the stories that actually come with the food and everything, because like how, like you said, merchants and how they get them. Like, because if it's a very unique or just exquisite thing, like let's say you go to get a certain fish out in the ocean and it takes, or the crabbers, they have a whole show on just the people of the Alaskan
Deadliest Catch.
Thank you. And it's just like people wanted, but I know that's all kind of like, made for TV and everything.
It's not all authentic.
Yeah.
It's real treachery. Well, I don't know what you guys are talking about.
But the people that brought back the crowds like, oh, I got this crab, but we lost Jones on the way, or it's just like, or this is a bad haul this week, and these are all the crabs that we got. There's stories on acquiring these things.
Right.
There's always
the story of the hunt.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Tell that around the fireside, going back to your previous out in the world.
Yeah. So there's always like really fun ways to, or like even learning the hunt, like back to Avatar. Sure. When Jake first gets on the Ikran and whatever, he's like, I wasn't much of a horse guy, but like I could do this, he's flying and he's really good at it and he loves it. And
or even back to Dune also.
Yeah.
Isn't that with the giant worms?
Oh,
no.
Worms,
Oh, I don't know. Oh no. I keep bringing up examples. I don't know.
I mean, it is kind of one of the food sources on the planet.
Yeah.
Because, everything has spice in it. All the food has spice in it.
Oh.
In addition to it, having its other properties.
Right.
So it's sort of like the two main commodities in that story are water and spice.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And everything nice.
Spice makes everything
chemical
nice.
X.
But like, to that point in like sci-fi, you're a lot of the time you're dealing with like large societies or whole planetary civilizations and such. And the mechanics of like how food works in some of those environments is a little different sometimes. Like there's a story, and I'm getting the story from the West Wing. It's probably real, but I don't know where it diverges.
Sure.
As this Nobel Prize winner called Norman Borlaug, who created dwarf wheat, apparently in India.
Dwarf weed?
So like apparently one of the problems with feeding people was like you'd get this wheat that grew too tall, and like the bulbs or whatever they're called would like fall low, and it would make it difficult to. I don't remember why it made it difficult to either harvest or grow a lot of it or whatever. But this guy bred wheat that was shorter, and the stalks would hold up straighter, and you could actually like greatly increase the yield.
Yeah.
And it like it's credited with saving hundreds of millions of lives.
Crazy.
Just so that sort of thing on a large scale creates some of those large scale elements in stories a lot of the time, which you use a lot more on like either a civilization or planetary or galactic level, depending on what kind of level your story's at.
For sure.
Yeah. Actually, back to Valkus of the Greater Wilds that you wrote. Like when I informed you about the Edoshin and all their whole thing, and they were intelligent creatures and everything, and they were losing a war with the humans.
Kind of like cattle, you can imagine.
They became cattle because for their just for simply their survival. They said, well, we'll stop fighting you, and you guys basically can have us as cattle, but we'll survive. And that was that trade-off. Like, it was like they knew they couldn't win it, so they were going to get slaughtered anyways.
Just agree to slavery.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. And it's interesting because they learned how to speak certain common words and everything to try to communicate with them. Even that wasn't enough. That was just like, so it's when you become the food source, when you give a few to save many.
Right.
It's kind of a fun little concept I came up with.
Yeah.
I know that.
I mean, I didn't come up with it, but I used.
No. Like I feel like there are other stories where there's some kind of dynamic like that going on.
Yeah.
I know, like if Doctor Who fans, there's the Ood, but that's a different.
The Ood.
That's a different thing. Like they don't go in depth in a lot of stories in that show. That's like
you see cool,
really
fun.
fast. It's done.
And that's kind of how it happened in Valkos the Greater Wilds too. Like there's a lot of these things that this character Avalee, she's observing along the way, and that you don't really have time to dive into because that's not her main focus of the story.
Right.
But there's so many different elements that, hey, one day somebody could expand on the history of the Edosheen. Somebody could expand on the discovery of Pavdi and like how terrifying they are. And
because as she was traveling, she was just making comments of like, oh, okay, there are these kind of creatures here, but they were trying to get to the farthest reaches of the wilds. So, and then they were going to do their major exploration there because everything else has kind of been discovered, but they were sent out to find out the most important things, which no spoilers.
It's funny. You can get a certain amount of notoriety by bringing back new foods.
Oh,
like the potato is originally from Peru.
Potato.
That's right.
So but we think of it as like an Irish thing.
For sure.
It's like, no, it helped feed so many people in Europe. Like, so you bring back a new food source that can grow in that climate. And you're revered.
Yeah.
Right. Except wasn't the tomato looked at like a devil's food kind of thing? Like people didn't trust it at first.
I wasn't just joking. I was
You know what? Who will trust it? People who are starving.
Yep.
And Denethor.
It can be the devil's food, but at least I won't meet him for a little while.
Right. Man.
But what about like food byproducts?
Oh. Alcohol?
Bees make honey. There's also beeswax, but like
both very good things. Like, save your bees.
Yeah, like you've got like perfumes or
makeup
or textiles, right?
From
cotton
silk
and whatnot.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it comes from a worm's butt, doesn't it?
Yeah. Silkworm.
Silk and the spice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically.
Yeah, but it is interesting to how again, I think it's all world building.
Yeah. Truly.
And when it's done well in a story is when it doesn't take away from the plot. Right. It just adds to it. Like we've been watching Andor. We won't say spoilers. Don't worry. But just the level of world building of people just living their daily lives in this world. And it's been really interesting to see them explore it and add texture and color to it just by using or like people making coffee in this world. People, making I don't know, clothes and whatnot. That's not an Andor. I'm just trying to think of another example.
They do make clothes, yeah. And it was a big thing because that was their main export.
Oh, sure. Yes. That's actually a good point. Yeah.
Well, hell, what people make clothes out of.
That's true. Yeah. And so the byproducts idea is interesting. I don't have an example. Do you?
I think just our uses of oils.
Sure.
Like olive oil or like vegetable oil. A lot of vegetable oil and like canola oil are terrible for you generally. And a lot of the time they have more in common. If you delve too deep into the makings of like canola oil, which otherwise known as rapeseed oil, I didn't come up with the name.
Grapeseed oil?
Grapeseed.
Grapeseed.
In YouTube,
we can't say.
It's
grapeseed oil. Yeah. We can't say anything else.
You put like a duck noise over.
Quack seed oil.
That's Marco. You say duck noise, and we just had to go there. But it has almost more in common. It has almost more in common with motor oil than anything.
Whoa!
Can I use it for my engine?
I wouldn't.
Okay.
But, I mean, try it. You know what? Try it. Because you never learn.
I'm not going to try it.
The scientific method. Just write it down. Write down your result.
Yeah, scientific method.
Mm-hmm.
But some of these kinds of things that sometimes it's like, well, what can we make with this? We have it. We may as well use it. And other times it's like a natural byproduct of making food or something. Like you can't
like whey.
Yeah, and you can't like cook certain things without oil being secreted or like
Sure.
So
You're right.
Realize,
like the meats,
this actually.
Right.
Creates this like side effect.
Lard coming from cooking meat, I assume. Animal by fat.
Back in the age of sail, ambergris, which is whale oil, was used in all perfumes.
Yeah.
Oh, I knew it was cosmetics. I didn't know what kind.
Yeah. And I think also lipstick, that's a big thing in lipstick. Like they use some kind of oil. I don't know. If it's whale
like from the
oil
inside
anymore.
of a whale, which makes you think like, why do we want it?
I know.
You know?
Yeah.
I know.
Whores use rouge. Ladies pinch cheeks.
Wow.
Speaking from experience, there.
Yeah, I'm a beautiful lady.
Please let me guess. Was that from Moulin Rouge?
No, I don't. It's from a movie. It's like it's probably the 80s or 90s. It was just
Pretty
like,
Woman?
No, I don't know.
We'll just keep saying
movies until I said yes. It's that one.
Yeah. Let's pull up a list.
You want? Please don't. So one of the full circles that comes around, which is kind of interesting, if we go from like animal to byproduct, let's say like lambs and wool or just any kind of linens or whatever, to like tapestries, to like images that are like stories told in just those images. So you go from that source to the byproduct to making another piece of artwork. Like, I feel like everybody, because even like paints and oils that, were made and everything, it all starts at some kind of like natural product, someplace where they were like, oh, these berries, they had the berries, but look at these berries stayed red. So I'm going to use it as red paint and everything. Like there's all kinds of ways that
dye wood.
And it's, and which is kind of cool because everything starts with nature, right? Everything starts with that. And back in the day too, we just never could let anything go to waste. You can't waste anything when everything needs to have a purpose, or
at least, that was the
brain taco.
That was the thinking, but but then the things that we value now would go to waste. Like a lot of the time when people would mine gold, they would find platinum and they would throw it out because they didn't know what to do with it.
Really?
Whoa.
Yeah. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Can I have it?
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, like, and even just like things that started with a natural process, oh, this works this way, like dyes.
Yeah.
Then you can impose status type things on it. Like purple was disallowed in England, and they still maintain this tradition. There's a guy called a purple maker. Like it's a profession called a purple maker. They've kept this technology alive.
His name is Prince.
And so they have this very specific way that they would make purple, which was only for the royal family.
Right.
Oh.
But now, of course,
anybody can
have purple, and it's not all made that way or anything. It's just,
but this specific one,
this specific way of making it.
Didn't Phoenicians do it? Was it snails or something?
Probably.
I actually have to look this one.
Phoenician
history,
lore, history, not lore. This is not like they're real people. They're not
lore. It works.
Right.
Sort of accurate term.
I like it. They used to have dragons, but but they killed it all for their
for the boats.
For the boats.
I mean, boats are worth it. That's
fair enough. Yeah, for you.
That's right.
Worth it.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just find all of this. It's all interesting world. It's all interesting history. Were you right?
I was right. Oh my
Bravo.
gosh. Okay, this is also Gemini. Don't come at me. Phoenicians, specifically those in the city of Tyre, Tyre. Tyre. Obtained their distinctive purple dye known as Tyrian purple. Okay, that makes sense. By extracting the color from a specific type of sea snail, the murex snail.
Wow.
Cool.
See, we are an educational podcast as well.
You're welcome.
And the city of Tyre is where Dido is from, who founded Carthage.
Whoa.
There you go.
Oh my gosh. I'm
right.
low-key obsessed with Carthage. I
And
don't know.
Dido.
Something about
Apparently,
I am
that
now.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's the lesson. Food, snails, escargot.
If you never try it, it's great.
Yeah.
Honestly, a lot of garlic.
Yeah, right.
And then we haven't even touched on things like vampires.
Duh.
And that,
Now we're-
Duh.
yeah, we
Yeah.
are the food, right?
Yeah, all the
Food-inducing
blood is
terror.
anyway. Oh my God, blood diseases for vampires.
the hemophagia from ultraviolet. That's we'll talk about vampires. Someday
Yeah,
because
that's a whole other episode.
They'd have like every allergy. That's all that blood I drink.
But on that, let's wrap it up. This has been great. We haven't even introduced ourselves. We just started.
Oh,
talking.
shoot,
That's
yeah.
okay. Lower thirds will fix everything.
Yeah,
That's
lower
true.
thirds.
Thank you, editor.
Yeah, thank you. You're welcome.
Yeah.
I used to play bass for lower thirds.
Yeah. His fingering was exquisite.
Impeccable.
He only had 3 fingers.
Still got it done. One of them was a thumb. Oh.
No, these are my 3 fingers.
Then we have dated ourselves. But thank you all for stopping by as always. I've been Rio.
I'm Kate.
I'm Usger.
And we'll see you next time. Peace.
Bye.